So obviously, let's get into your background a little bit. You grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. As you said, you moved there from a young age. Was Ohio State a team that you were pulling for? Because you eventually went to Penn State. You're wearing the Penn State hat for all of our listeners. Was Ohio State one of those teams that you were looking for to try and get on, or was Penn State sort of the always the go-to? Like, what was your recruitment process like?
No, Penn State came in at the beginning of my recruiting process, but Ohio State was always the school I wanted to go to. I always wanted to go to Ohio State. I grew up a Buckeye, you know what I mean? And that's huge for us. I used to watch their games on Saturday and then watch them again on Sunday morning, every single football game, you know? So, yeah, Ohio State was so deep in our home and in our DNA. And I was 1,000% going to Ohio State until my senior year. They fired Earl Bruce, you know, the head coach there, and they brought in John Cooper. And at that point, I didn't feel the same comfort level going to Ohio State. And you know, it could have worked out, but we had a meeting with John Cooper, and it didn't go very well with him and my mom, myself, and my mom, and that is the reason I did not go to Ohio State. And then it came down to Joe Paterno and Lou Holtz. My mom wanted me to go to Notre Dame and Lou Holtz. I wanted to go to Penn State and Notre Dame. I mean, Penn State and Joe Paterno. And so we see how that worked out. Even though she's usually right, she was usually right. This time she let me make my own decision, so it worked out well.
So, what did Lou Holtz come to your house? Like, were there any memorable interactions with him?
Yeah, Lou Holtz didn't come to my house. He came to my school. Joe Paterno came to my school. Gary Moeller, who was recruiting me from Michigan, you know, all came to my school. Ron Dickerson, and you know, came to my house, you know, from Penn State. I mean, it was interesting how we had to narrow it all down to the people that we wanted to talk to, we wanted to let in the house. My high school coach, Cliff Walton at Hawkins School, was so instrumental in, you know, filtering everything that was coming through. We originally had somewhere like 80 something scholarship offers, you know, and then we had to narrow it down to 20 and then down to 10 and then our final 5. And so he did most of that legwork for me. And it made it a lot easier for me to concentrate on school and sports. You know, it's like you mentioned earlier, I was in a lot of sports. I actually played baseball and ran track at the same time. So from football to basketball to baseball and track at the same time, you know, I was a busy man in high school trying to figure out a way to get into college rent free.